This weekend sees us arrive in Shanghai for the Chinese Grand Prix. First up is today's practice session. Now then, Anthony Davidson, there's been a lot of talk over the last few weeks about track limits. How much is too much when you're cutting corners and running wide? What are your thoughts on this? And do you think we'll be seeing drivers pushing those limits this weekend?
Well, I'd be disappointed if we didn't, frankly. If race control want to clamp down on drivers wandering off the track, then it's up to them to police it. As a driver, you're being paid to get your car around the circuit as quickly as possible, don't forget. So if you're not pushing those limits, if you're ignoring the advantageous line, then you're not doing your job properly. Now, I agree that, we have these white lines there for a reason, and we do want to see those limits enforced, but for me, it's not a driver's responsibility to do that.
So far, fastest lap is a 1 minute 40.9. Okay, let's update the setup. He's going to be with us for a while now.
Welcome along then to the final moments of peace before a grid full of the world's fastest racing cars fire into life and charge down towards the scuffle of turn 1. Shanghai International Circuit then, a 16-corner high-speed thrill ride. The long and ever-tightening right-hander at turns 1 and 2 tests a driver's patience, and the flat, open to the elements will assist passing, and overtaking is available into turn 1 and, of course, down the kilometre-long back straight into the hairpin at turn 14. Joining me once again to take you through this race is the effervescent Anthony Davidson, and I'm very much looking forward to it getting underway. You raced here, of course, didn't you, back in your Super Aguri days in that infamous Chinese Grand Prix of 2007?
Yeah, that's right. I didn't last that long though, unfortunately. Qualifying had gone pretty well, but my brakes failed quite early in the race, around lap 10 or 11, something like that. And of course, back in 2004, I was the very first Formula 1 driver to complete a lap of this circuit. Just thought I'd mention that for you, Crofty. You like a good stat? It's a fairly tough circuit on the brakes here, though. You know, there's that long back straight down into turn 14, and then you got turn 6 and 11. They're quite heavy as well. On top of that, managing your front tyre wear is always a challenge around here, so there's a lot to keep in mind during the Grand Prix.
You've done well to put it on pole, but we've still got work to do. Trying to cover the inside line off the start.
So before the off, let's remind ourselves of yesterday's qualifying session with a look at the starting grid. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he starts from pole position. And Nico Rosberg completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Vettel, Kimi Raikkonen, and Ricciardo, Bottas, Button, Alonso, and Felipe Massa, Perez, Hülkenberg, Carlos Sainz, and Grosjean, Kvyat, Gutierrez, Pascal Wehrlein, and Rio Haryanto, Ericsson, and Magnussen. Felipe Nasser and Jolyon Palmer rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
race. Daniel is in the pits. Up to speed now. Let's get some heat into those tyres. Right then, some information on Mercer. Is 2.0 seconds. Superb driving. That's the race win.
A great win then for the Red Bull team today. Anthony, what do you think made the difference here?
Well, I'd say it's just raw pace, plain and simple. I mean, we could sit here and talk about strategy all day, the overtaking, looking after the tyres, but at the end of it all, if you want to win, you need a package that's got the speed over everyone else, and that's exactly what they had today.
So here come our winning drivers today, and what a race it was. There's been a big push at the factory lately to get these cars ready, and we can see the fruits of that labour today as Red Bull lift the winner's trophy. And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. It's a good result for Max Verstappen, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. Moving on to the driver of the day then. Anthony Davidson, who would you go for?
Let's give it to Kevin Magnussen. That was a commanding performance today, very impressive indeed.
And here's how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Red Bull have extended their lead over the championship. There was also a strong showing from the Mercedes team today as they make their way up the standings. There'll be plenty more twists and turns to come this season. I hope you can join us at the next race to see just who will come out on top. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. It's a good result for Max Verstappen, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. Now then, Anthony Davidson, who was your driver of the day?
Well, he had a great drive today, somewhat unexpected maybe, but I'm going to go for Kevin Magnussen. Quick, clean, and in control. It was everything you could ask for.
On to the constructors then. Red Bull have extended their lead over the championship. There was also a strong showing from the Mercedes team today as they make their way up the standings. After all this drama, you'd be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you then. Take care.